Sometimes when kids discovers that you are so much
Permissive.
very much permissive, you are not really key in terms of how they do things. They will just take you for granted. So to me, I think when it comes to that, it just depends on the situations. And I begin off because setting rules is very important as well. Of course, the expectation that you set for children. So that will really guide children as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. You mentioned 3 types of parenting styles.
Yes.
So authoritative, permissive, and uninvolved.
Yes.
So is it safe to assume that an uninvolved parent is one who is only a parent and that's it?
Now, there is a philosophy that I've always called an absent leader. You know, parents are a leader. What will happen if your presence is not felt in the house? You know, in a family, in the house settings, the presence of a leader must be felt.
Must be felt.
In different approaches, even the way you talk, the way you do things, the way you approach issues, we must feel that a kind of a leadership influence in the house. So my question would be, of course I'm taking that question back to you, what would happen if you just a parent who just see things go by and just quiet? Just like you're an absent parent.
That will bring in a lot of chaos.
Bring a lot of chaos. Of course, there is no directions. No, that now brings in a clear insight when you are involved. Of course, kids lose directions. Kids lose direction, they lose guidance because they do not have a very strong structured leadership guidance to lead them. So if you're not involved, that is the most dangerous approach.
That is absolutely right. And if I can just relate to that, I remember back when I was growing up, when I was still a young girl, and my father would come to the house. Okay, sometimes we would gauge his, how he is. Is he happy? Is he angry? Is he sad? So before we run to him, we must know how is his feelings or how are his emotions. So sometimes he would come into the sitting room and everyone else would just go. If he comes in, we all go, we walk out. But nowadays, I think he has entered into that permissive stage where now he just calls us, he calls us, and now he's trying to teach us and tell us, our lineage, telling us his great grandfather and that. And now those are 2 different styles. When I was growing up, there was that authoritative father. But now when my siblings are growing up, there's this permissive father. So it is good to have both.
Yeah, it's good to have both. Now, let me just, you really actually dived into a very strong foundation. Now, when at the tender age, children are having very strong intelligence in terms of how they observe, how they assess you as a parent. They know when you are angry.
Yes.
And they well observant when you're in good moods. And so they will deal with you according to your moods.
Yes.
And so in that kind of course, during those days, our parents were no-go zone.
Of course.
They would hit you up with anything. You cry, they hit you up. You laugh, they hit you up. You don't do a mistake, they hit you up. So that's the traditional system. Of course, it also applies today. At the young age, there is no option. You have to apply all styles to ensure that you build a very strong foundation for children. Because if you don't, then you're raising up a very clueless generations. And again, in the tender age, we talk about the degree of maturity of our children. That is so much still down. That profile is still very down. And so that level of maturity, that means when we are drilling in them a very strong parental upbringing, we really stretching out their level of maturity to grow. But now look at the age where we are now. Of course, a parent will not bump on you without style. They will guide, they will talk to you in a very mature dimension. So definitely the kind of model of the style of approach a parent will use in me at a tender age will be very much different
Yeah.
at my
Absolutely.
the advanced age, because the factor is the differentials in terms of my level of maturity.
Absolutely. So do you feel that your parenting style is influenced by current social trends such as social media or peer pressure?
I would respond to that in a very different dimension. We are living in a world that is very dynamic. There is a stretch of growth on all things. And to make things much worse, we are into digital generations.
Yes.
Of course, the digital age has introduced a lot of very complicated things. And so that to really affect my parental style. Of course, there is a theory that is called is it called needle theory? Yeah, I'm not sure, but I can remember it's called a needle theory. Needle theory applies in the concept that whatever you receive, the information you receive enters deeply into your head and is able to cause a lot of influence, both positive and negative, inside you. So the information we find in our digital platforms, social media, any kind of media channels, they really directly affect the lives of our children. And so that brings either behavioral deconstruction, deconstruct the behaviors of our children, or construct the behaviors of our children.
Yes.
And so that now calls you as a parent to apply very diversified methods of parental upbringing, because you find the way I did it to my younger son 17 years ago, it will be much different.
Yes.
Of course, the way I would do it today, because media and social technology has really disoriented the lives and the minds of our children.
Yes.
So some of them have become so much arrogant. Some of them have become so much. Some of them has become so much disobedient, very insubordinative. They no longer even hear. They no longer even heed. And so, if a kid has become so much dishonorable like that, do you think you'll apply an involved style of parental upbringing?
Absolutely not.
No, he needs a hammer.
Yes.
And a real hammer. So that really has really.
But you know, if you
Yes.
do that in the US, then
Yes.
you'd be convicted.
Of course, get ready to land yourself in prison. Of course, one of the key areas the laws of the US governs and looks very keenly is on children. So when a kid shout, run away, because you'll find yourself in the prison.
Well, and how do you balance traditional values with modern influences in your approach to parenting?
We have traditional values, and we have
the modern day influences.
now. That's very great. And of course, we have to respect traditional values. Let me begin from this concept. Traditional values really shaped our lives. Really shaped our lives.
Yeah.
They really set a lot of frameworks for our moral growth. I remember, because when my parent would tell me, if you do this against tradition, I will not touch it. I won't touch it, because I know if I cross over it, in some culture you see, they say you get a curse. And so there is no absolutely curse, but those are a kind of rules that were set really to govern. And so I would really honor the traditional values. I would also honor the modern values, the modern system. And so I would be very much key to balance the traditional values and the modern system. I would be very much key and figure out how I can balance. Of course, some of the modern values may not apply today.
Yeah, they don't apply, because some of the traditional
Yes.
values that we had before, they don't apply today.
Yes.
I remember when I was growing up, if an elderly person entered into a matatu and you were sitting down, you would have to stand up.
But right now,
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Right now, they would ask you, did you not see that the matatu
Yes.
was full?
Yes.
Why are you entering if it's full? So you see, those are some of the things that shaped us. Those are some of the things that made us who we are, into people who can, integrate into the society. So it is very important to look back into the traditional values that we had as we even combine and merge them with the modern values and modern traditions.
and it's very true. The modern system has really influenced. They really diluted the strength of traditional values.
Of course.
Like for an instance, one of the concept of traditional value that says that I should not go into my parents' bedroom. Of course, there's some cultures like that.
Yeah.
But today,
You can even
a
sleep
kid
on your
would
father's
disappear.
bed.
A kid would disappear with a phone and hide in your bedroom. Watches the whole day.
And you're looking for him
You're looking, you can't even
around
take
the
1
house.
hour. Around the house.
And you can't even think of your bedroom.
You can't even think of your bedroom. They're just sitting there.
But his
and that's
side
why
is there.
sometimes very interesting. Of course, bringing up children is very interesting. Now, of course, this is just an experience. When a young child disappears from your presence and he keeps quiet, please, that is an urgency.
Absolutely.
Run around and look for that child.
Absolutely.
If he disappears, you don't see him or her, and he keeps quiet.
Yeah.
That silence.
If they were making noise and then silence,
Yes.
that is a red flag.
That's a red flag. But if a kid is perhaps in the other room and shouting, that is
You're safe.
No, you are safe.
Everything
You are
is
safe.
okay.
Otherwise, you will get into the other rooms where they are you find they have messed up the whole system.
Everything.
Yes.
Absolutely. And if you are just joining us right now, we are diving into the topic of parental upbringing. And in the last hours, we have just been talking about parental styles. And we are so glad to have you with us. If you're joining us right now, we are going into the segment of talking about technology and parenting. Now, as we all know, technology is playing a very big role in the society as we are. And now we need to merge technology and parenting and bring it into one focus. So, how do you monitor or regulate your children's screen time?
That is the most challenging to a parent, because in the kind of the society, the modern system we are very busy. We are running after finding for them food. So we would spend like even 10% of our time engagements with them. And so that would really narrow our time frame on how we monitor the screens with them. But again, there is of course we have several apps today that are developed on phones. They're able to control even what the kids watch.
Yeah.
But now in terms of delivering, of course you need to set rules. To me, I set rules. When you come from school, there is no touching the phone until you clear up your assignments. Because I know sometimes they are tired.
Yes.
Like now they come from school at 3. They are tired. They just want to sit down and to have something.
Yeah.
So we also need to acknowledge that. But we really need to regulate the time of which they spend on the screens. Some are much okay with the televisions, but some are so much addicted to phones. So phones have displaced the screens. And so when you're in the house and you're so much on your screen in terms of televisions, you're going to clash with the kids. But now in terms of the using the televisions, you just sometimes you just give them the remote. Please watch what you want to watch.
Watch what you want.
If you want to watch news, let me go to my bedroom and watch. Perhaps I have a television in my bedroom, perhaps I have my laptops, but let me watch. Let me give them space because
Yeah.
you cannot fight the two kingdoms.
Yeah.
But in terms of phones, regulate the time. I do regulate the time.
Okay.
Of course, I will ensure that perhaps you spend 1 hour, go outside and play.
Ah.
They need to find time to run around. Some
Absolutely.
will be so much addicted to phones, they tap on the phone at 7 a.m. They leave phones at 4 p.m. They're just seated there. When will they find time to run to stretch out their muscles in the field? So I'm very radical.
Yeah.
Very radical.
So I recently saw a video, describing the future of, this generation, and we're seeing them. They are like zombies who are just walking towards the screen is at the front, and then they are like zombies who are just addicted to the screen and looking nowhere else. So they're just looking at the screen and they're following the screen. So it is safe to say that we are raising a zombie generation.
Of course. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
But before we go on, at what age do you think that a child should have a phone?
Now, right now, time is indefinite. Because at the age of 2, they already want the phone. They want something, of course, in the nature of our mothers, they are so much engaged. But they want something really to keep them. That is the introduction of trouble. Because at that 2 years, a mother would want something to engage
The child.
the child when perhaps they wake up early, they are playing on. But that is the beginning of trouble. Because once it's already attached, the culture of the phones, the only thing, like if the kid becomes so much chaotic at the age of 2, 3, you only think of the only thing that can silence the kid is the phone.
Is the phone.
And so you are giving in good faith, but we're introducing a technological culture that will really
That would be a menace.
of course bring a very negative influence in the life of a child with technology. And so that's the beginning. But now in my own dimensions, give it around 5. Give it around 5. Of course, 5, they know they are
So your
much.
kids have their own phones?
No, my phone. I'm better give them my phone.
Oh.
Because that is part of the regulations. Yeah, that's part of the regulations.
They can have your phone for a limited period of time.
They can have my phone.
But they can't have their own phone. You can't buy them their phone.
No, no. Unless I buy for them the tablets that they can only access of course, the cartoons. But in terms of a phone, in terms of how they can communicate, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you think technology has made parenting easier or harder?
In fact, technology has worsened parental dimensions of upbringing children.
Why? Why do you say
It
that?
has become so hard because we are in the technology. You perhaps you will go into your TikTok and you are showing us. You are showing perhaps how you do parenting. My kid will borrow your style.
All right.
And my kid will expect me to adopt that same
In
style.
the same way,
So, like in every family, we have different diversified ways on how we do our parental upbringing. We are so different. But in that kind of configured kind of dimensions of what we see in the media, really complicates so many things. We'll find kids will be, like for example, you are showing us perhaps how you're training your children to use a phone. They will expect me to do the same. So that makes my parental approach become so complicated. So technology, in summary, has worsened the approach on how we do our parental style.
Well, thank you very much for that. Now, how do you ensure that your children are safe from, the dangers of the media or the internet, such as cyberbullying or inappropriate content?
How do I do it? Just come again.
how do you make sure, how do you ensure that your children are safe from all these things? From cyberbullying or inappropriate content?
So the first thing is, of course, our phones have very controlled apps that is able to really to control what our kids can access to on. Of course, there are those apps. Of course, they are called kids protection apps. Of course, when you install that, they're able to regulate what kids watch on phone. In terms of we also request, we advised, sit down with our kids. Let us know, let them know from us. Let us teach them the negative influences that comes with the technological social media advancements. Let's teach them.
Yes.
Let them get the idea, the positive aspect of it and the negative aspect of it.
So we prepare them for social media.
Prepare them. We prepare them, and then like you'll find there, of course, bullying of male towards female. It's so much the social media. You would see a girl of 15 years old, no, that age, and now there's also that boy 19 years old. They find themselves in the social media. He begins to approach this one, confuses this one, and that's how it messes up the whole system. Now we just need to have a very, very strong conversation, and in terms of also giving them a lot of guidance on what they need to know about social media.
Okay.
Because many have been misled by social media bullying, and especially on sexual issues, and some of them have even ended up committing suicide.
Yeah.
And there are even issues of sex on phones, leave alone pornography, but live sex on phones, whereby they show even their videos. Of course, that happens, and now they introduce such kind of technical things to your kids. They've really messed up their system already.
Yeah.
So we need really a lot of guidance to our children.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And have you observed any differences in your child's behavior as a result of the, exposure to technology?
Of course. Of course, I've observed that. But one very strong thing, my parental style of that authoritarian style, I advise, I train, I teach, but I discipline as well. Yes. Okay. So that they can very strongly know the gauge on what they are getting into. Yeah.
So is it a positive difference or
a negative influence? A negative influence. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, we have been talking to Dr. Nicholas Saoke, who has joined us today in the studio, and we are discussing matters parental bringing in the modern age. Now, we have just discussed about technology and parenting, like what are some of the advantages or disadvantages of having technology incorporated in today's parenting. Now this is Cityscope TV and the show is Family Focus. Now we are going on to the next segment and we are going to talk about the emotional and social development of a child and how we can bring them into the society. How do you address the mental and emotional well-being of your children in today's fast-paced environment?
That's the most challenging. Of course, like I was talking to you about the issue about the needle theory. The information that we receive really is able to affect us negatively or positively, the construction of your emotional level intelligence. And so one thing that I do, I sit and openly talk. We open with them platforms to talk their feelings. And actually let them talk their challenges. Let them talk, of course, let them talk their experiences.
Okay.
By borrowing their experiences and how they perceive things, you're able to guide them. You're able to guide them in the process. And also in the process, you're able to really build in them to really have a very mindful approach on issues that can help them. Yeah, they also, that would really help them to be very careful. Yeah, that would be very careful. But again, now as a believer, you also pray for them. You also pray for them. You know, like just in a certain example, of course, a parent had a son, and the son was really doing well in school. And a son just decided, he just began behaving very much awkwardly. He does not want to go to school, wakes up late, and it took some time for the parent really to observe that. And so when the parent sat with him down, the parent was not in a position really to engage a very strong, a very productive conversation with the son. He had to bring in a professional counselor. Yeah, he had to bring a professional counselor to really help the son to get back on track.
Okay.
Of course, through a professional guidance, the son came back to his feet. They are able to do an assessment to evaluate the problems that are on. So engaging professional experts are also very important, very important to able to really give a psychological guidance to our children. And again, the things that, of course, to our girls, anything that needs medical approach, we need to also have a very strong, a very close engagement with a medical expert that is able to really talk to them. There are things, of course, when our girls are growing up, there are things they are going through that perhaps even in parental approach you cannot address. So that's one now we bring in the medical expert that is able to discuss this thing. You know, there is a dimension. There's a dimensions of grace that comes with a professional expert, and that's very different with a parent.
That's true.
And so when the two aspects are mixed up, we are able to really to help and build an emotional, help our children build a very strong emotional well-being. Yeah.
Well, what strategies do you use to teach your children emotional intelligence and conflict resolution?
The techniques I use.
What strategies do you use to teach your children emotional intelligence and conflict resolution?
Okay, by actually expressing their feelings in a healthy way, we encourage our children the same, of course. There is no any kind of very unique strategies we may adopt, and of course, we also we give them, you know, we also need to give them scenarios that they can learn from.
Okay.
I may give them a scenario of my life. My wife may also give them a scenario of her life. We may also give them very hypothetical stories or experiences that can help them really to also to gauge and to, of course, have a comparative analysis on their case as well. So that spreadly teaches them. You know, some of us again takes them to the village to spend time with their parents, their shows.
Yes.
And their shows will really drill very strong stories, very rich stories in their minds. They get to learn from them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And in your opinion, how important is it for parents to be actively involved in their children's social and emotional well-being or development?
Of course, that is very important. Active involvement by parents helps kids to secure and to understand a lot of things in their growth. We were, of course, very excited on the introductions that you gave about the different styles of course, of parenting. And we are talking about an involvement. And how would a kid experience a dynamic growth if there is no any strong parental pillar standing within them to really construct their growth? And so a parental involvement is very important. Of course, your kids are a byproduct of who you are, a byproduct of what you do, a byproduct of what you say, as well as a byproduct of what you think.
Even how you think.
How you think, how you behave, how you speak, even how you, I mean, generally, they are. And overhaul byproducts of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you are the first point of contact
Yeah,
with
you're
the
the
child.
first point of contact. Construction, I don't know what is constructive. Is it construction, behavioral? I don't know, something of the sort. Because your life is like a constructing factor that contributes in behavioral development of a child.
Absolutely.
And so in that context, when you are not involved, a child will not have a very strong pillar, constructive pillar that builds their behavior.
You're right.
Yeah, just like you, I've got this very much very clear. Look at a kid who has grown, perhaps a kid is has grown under the guidance of a grandmother. The only father he has seen is the grandmother. The only mother he has seen is the grandmother.
As a grandmother.
And so when you begin now to have a very deeper look and observation in the life of growth of that child, there is a lot of vacuum. Because look at this. You will realize that a kid who has grown without a mother will have a very strong vacuum
Yeah.
of a motherly
absolutely
space.
Right. Yes.
The same with a kid who does not have a father. There will be a very strong vacuum or strong space because of the absence of a father.
Yes.
And that now brings in the family strength. Now, parents who, especially fathers, who did not take proactive involvements in the lives of their children, they actually brought up sons with weak family. They brought up sons with very weak family. I mean, sons who are very strong. Or in our overall context, a son is weak. The way they think, the way they do things, because they never found a very strong pillar of a father to impart in them the male concepts, the male concept of strength on them. And so, in summary, parental involvements to our children help our children to grow much stronger. Both physically and even emotional development wise, involvement is very important.
Absolutely.
And that's why mostly, our general advice to fathers: be available. A father, be available for your children.
Be present.
Be present. I'm talking about the fathers first, because fathers are key. They're the front leaders who are bringing positive influence to the family. So if an absent father raises up an absent leader, that leads to directionless family. And becomes very much dangerous when a father loses directions and a mother takes leadership.
Wow, thank you very much for that insight. It is well received, and I hope that you're getting something from wherever you are watching us from. We are talking about family. The show is family focused, and we have a guest with us today who's helping us dive deeper and to better understand the modern day parenting and how we can involve technology and social media and all these things that are present in our modern day into parenting. Now, we're going on to this topic. This segment that we're going to is very important because we're going to be tackling the challenges and the support that is needed in this modern day upbringing. So why do you believe, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing parents today? The biggest challenge that parents can face in this modern day upbringing? What do you think that is?
Technology. Technology.
That is no question.
Technology.
Without a doubt.
Technology. Technology. The dynamic growth of technology drives parents into a dark room when it comes to parenting.
Yeah.
That's a very great challenge. And again, as the world grows, you know, the world comes in with their different revelations. And some of those revelations are not healthy for children.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the world is very dynamic. Brings a lot of very, very, very funny, very absurd things lives for our children.
And of course, with the involvement of AI now, people can just, generate anything.
Or you can, right now you can generate anything.
And they think that it's for the purpose of entertainment, but they're clearly impacting, the future generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so technology and the way the world is driving in, of course, at one time we are having a conversation with a parent, and would saying that raising kids in the years to come, of course, in 10 years to come, will be much expensive than we stay with our wives. And so, of course, that was just an hypothetical, of course, statement. But what he meant was, in the years to come, raising kids will be the most expensive. And again, have you ever realized that primary schools is very much expensive, more than the secondary school?
It is. Right now, the school fees for PP1 student, PP1 child, is double that of a Form 4 candidate.
Yes.
It is double, and it's not even a joke.
Yes. I remember when I was clearing in the high school, the large amount that we paid was 18,000. Now look at now. They call grade what? Grade 8. Grade 8 and grade 9.
Yeah, there's grade 8.
Now in some private schools, they are running out around 75,000 in academic year.
Wow.
So look at that. So raising kids is going to be the most expensive, but in my Christian perspective, the grace is sufficient.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about this 75,000 per per year. Educational year.
Yeah.
So this does not even include medical bills.
No.
It does not include food, entertainment, if there's any.
No.
It does not include any of these other things.
No, but still, even the teachers are still requesting me for some more. They want cow dung. They want cow dung.
They want cow dung.
They want cow
and
dung.
eggs.
They want cow dung.
Eggs.
No, leave alone eggs. Eggs you can find in the Nairobi market. Now, they want like what? They want like
feathers.
They want like red feathers. You can only find these things in the village. so and all those things, when you wrap all those things, when you sit down, you are paying more than you're raising a kid in a secondary school.
Absolutely.
So, of course, that's a very great challenge that's coming over.
So, technology is without a doubt the biggest challenge.
Technology is a very big challenge. Yes, a very big challenge. And parents needs to wake up. Whether you are born in a traditional settings, whether you are born in the village, we must wake up. We must be computer savvy. We must be oriented in computer.
Exactly.
You must be digital. At least have an idea.
Learn a skill.
Yeah, learn a skill. And so that we are able to tap into some kind of foundational knowledge we can use to guide our children.
And now technology has even made it easier that these skills are free.
Yeah.
You can get them on YouTube for free.
You can get them on YouTube. Anything. Of course, we call it the internet of all things. Of internet of what? Of all things of what? What? Internet. Of course, internet has everything.
Of course.
Internet
has everything.
It has everything.
So how do you manage the pressure of work, social obligations and family time while raising your kids?
Let me go slowly. You mentioned 3 things.
Yeah, the pressures of work.
We have the pressure. Let me begin with the pressure of work. Of course, the dynamic nature of depends on the work that I do. Sometimes you get back home, you're so tired.
Yeah.
You only need to sit down in your special house chair and house seat, and you sleep. Or you get your bedroom, you have a nap.
Just sleep.
Yes, but now at the end of the day, one thing that needs to click into your mind as a parent is I need to be actively involved in every operations of my children. And so regardless of how much tired you are, you must show up. And again, of course, we are in a generation whereby we are running from after money. Of course, come on, you find out, I was running for out of this contract. The whole month you're running after contract.
After the contract.
And so the time, of course, that you're now spending with your kid is just like 1% in the whole month. How will you really have a sense of engagement with your children? And so there's a need to be a stronger balance. In my case, I ensure that I engage. I spend time with the kids. Of course, when I need to know when they come from school, the first thing that I will ask them is their homework. And so I will ensure that I engage them in their homeworks. I will ask them, come, how was school? What was your experience today? At least you get to know, find the updates on how they are. What was the worst experience for you today? Oh, daddy nilijigonga miguu. At least you know. Uligonga wapi? Ukiangalia mguu. Akona kinonda. You see? At least you've attended to something. And so the little things that we do to children makes a lot of impact in their lives.
Yes.
And that's why regardless of how much work will be a very value asset, kids are much value asset than the work that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
And again, you've mentioned what? There were 3 segments.
Social obligations.
Social obligations, family is key. Kids' development is very key. Yeah, regardless of how much I'll become a very romantic boy, I would want to really enjoy myself with what I've made. Children are key to me, are to key or anything.
Okay. And what about,
And so even sometimes if there are social engagements that perhaps you feel they need to join you, let them join you.
Okay.
Let them join you. Perhaps sometimes also spend your time, go and play the football. Yeah, of course, when I was growing up, of course, I was very boring. I would sit in the house. Even I would sit in the house 12 hours. I'm just sitting, of course, doing my programs on my computers.
And you're comfortable doing that?
And sometimes they would come, Daddy, today are we not going to walk for a walk? A kid will come to honestly telling you that I want to go for a walk. Right? At that time, you're not even in the mood to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And so balancing all those kind of things really adds value. Yeah.
So what about family time?
Family time, I think it wraps up everything. Family is key. Family is key. We, regardless of how much priorities we have, engagements we have, contracts we have, family is key. Allow me to mention, of course, in the ministry setting, church ministry setting, church ministry is sometimes very engaging. And if you're not careful, the church will consume you more than the family consumes your time.
Yeah.
And so it's very key for us or me to understand that family is very key in terms of priority settings, in considerations of my engagement with them. Of course, church ministry comes later. So anything that comes should be secondary. But family engagements, development should be a priority.
Okay. Well, and what support systems do you rely on to, as you raise your children? What support system do you rely on? Is it family? Is it friends?
Yeah, I have. Well, of course, one of the greatest, my strong system is the family. The family, of course. Most of my times I travel outside the country. And I would even spend 6 months, I would spend 7 months, I would spend 1 year. But because I have a very strong system, my extended family, they are really standing in to really give a lot of emotional support to my children and my wife as well.
And that is very important.
Of course. And of course, my parents-in-law will also come on board. Of course. My family would really call them, regardless of how much far they are, would call them, come, Mama so and so, how are the kids? How are you doing? What do you need? Of course, such kind of engagements really bring a lot of emotional support.
Okay.
And so, and also friends who find their friends who sometimes will spend, sacrifice their times, they come and pay your family a visit. They do some few shoppings for them. That's a very strong kind of emotional support.
Wow, that is lovely, and it's good to hear that there are people who can, you know, show up for others in times of their need. And now we've been having a very interesting discussion. Wherever you're watching us from, if you're just joining us now, this is Family Focus, and we are here live on Cityscope TV. As I said earlier, you can send in your comments, and we'll be sampling them at the end of this show. And now we are coming to the end of our show today, and it has been a very interactive segment, and it has been an educative segment as well, and I hope that you are learning something so far. And right now we are going to the last segment of this discussion today, and we are going to be, you know, discussing the future of parenting. As we know it, you know, in 10 years to come, parenting will not be the same again. So we're going to be discussing the future of parenting, and welcome as you join us as we go along in the show. Now, how do you see parenting, you know, evolving?
Now, I would not use the word evolving, but I will use that parenting will be much engaging. Evolving means there will be no any other kind of parenting. The parenting will remain the same.